If you ask any common NBA fan who the worst run franchise in the league is, you'd most likely be told the New York Knicks. Understandably so, since they've made their fair share of stupid decisions widely viewable to the public. A few recent examples come to mind, banning Knicks legend Charles Oakley, being the only team in the NBA to consistently not support Black Lives Matter despite the fact the NBA is a black male-dominated league, and of course, literally anything to do with the game of basketball. Wow, it's only been a minute and I've already just completely shit on the Knicks when this video isn't even about them. This is gonna be a good day. So in December of 2020, The Athletic held an anonymous poll consisting of various NBA insiders, including 13 front office executives, 10 front office personnel, 6 scouts, and 2 NBA head coaches, all to ask one simple question: who is the worst owner in the NBA? Well, to everyone's surprise, including myself, the answer to this question is not Knicks owner James Dolan. To find the answer to who I'm talking about, we need to travel nearly 3,000 miles from the Atlantic Division in New York City all the way to the West Coast in the Pacific Division. It wasn't Joe Lacob, who's done everything in his power to build the Warriors into a historical dynasty. It wasn't the Buss family that just won an NBA championship. It wasn't Steve Ballmer, who was actually voted as the best owner in the NBA in this same poll. And it wasn't even Robert Sarver, who's faced heavy criticism over the past few years. Today we're going to be looking at the Sacramento Kings and how Vivek Ranadive is the worst owner in the NBA. Okay, before we actually start, I want to make this abundantly clear. We're only going to be talking about strictly basketball reasons, nothing off the court. If we're talking about stuff off the court, then Dolan wins this award by like a mile. Just nobody likes you, dog. Just sell the team. So when it comes to basketball, what has Vivek Ranadive done with the Sacramento Kings that grants him the official title of the worst owner in the NBA? Well, going back to the poll itself, it does have a few comments from the people who voted. One agent just commented about the general dysfunction, saying that it's a chaotic organization. This is highlighted by the fact that some parents of the Kings players have voiced their displeasure openly before, including Marvin Bagley III's father asking for his son to be traded. One front office executive said that he's trying too hard to be Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. The difference between the two, however, is that, well, Jerry Jones actually understands the sport of the team he owns. And here's what I mean by that. So Vivek Ranadive used to coach his daughter's basketball team. And what he'd do is he'd have 4 people play on defense with their 5th player cherry picking on the other end. He then decided that this same strategy that he used for a girls' youth basketball team should be applied for a literal NBA team. There's also the Nick Stauskas situation, which, look, y'all just gotta watch the video yourself.
I think on our team, we lack shooting. I think Stauskas, I think he claims that he made 91 out of 100 3-point shots, right? Stauskas or Payton? For me, Stauskas.
I say Stauskas.
Stauskas. Stauskas. Stauskas. Stauskas. Stauskas. You ready?
Ready?
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Nick rocks!
I should honestly just end the video here. But this last comment provides the most insight, and we'll get into more of the specifics later. His intentions are good, but in terms of hiring the basketball people and letting them do their work, he hires both bad basketball people and doesn't let them do their work. That's a bad combination. This sentiment is embodied by looking at the 2 other prominent members of the Kings franchise, General Manager Vlade Divac and Head Coach Luke Walton, both of which were hired by Vivek Ranadive. Vlade Divac has had a questionable career as an NBA General Manager at best, and a downright atrocious one at worst. One of his biggest blunders comes recently in that he opted to draft Marvin Bagley III over arguably a top 10 player right now in Luka Doncic. He mainly cited his reasons as to why, being that he was concerned that Luka didn't necessarily have a natural position per se. He was also concerned that he wouldn't be able to guard the 1 through 4, and he was concerned about his fit with De'Aaron Fox. Okay, First of all, a player not necessarily having a natural position should not be a point of concern. If anything, it should be looked up as an upside, showing that he's versatile and not limited to playing one position on the court. Secondly, he is 6'7". I understand Luka isn't the greatest defender in the world, but anyone that has that size can, at the very least, be passable on defense, which he is. And thirdly, I just don't get this one. Like, one, De'Aaron Fox has the ability to be a good off-ball player, and two, you can literally just stagger their minutes. So in July of 2015, the Kings were involved in a salary dump to the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, this isn't bad in itself, but what's really going to make you go yikes is the compensation that they gave up. So in addition to trading away these players, Divac also traded away a swap option for the 2017 draft and an unprotected 2019 pick. And in the 2017 draft, the Kings actually got the 3rd overall pick, and Philadelphia got the 5th pick. But Philly exercised their swap option to get Sacramento's 3rd pick, and then they traded both Kings picks to get the number 1 overall pick owned by the Celtics. The Celtics, who now owned the 3rd pick, selected Jason Tatum, and then Boston would later pick Romeo Langford with the 2019 pick. In essence, Vlade Divac traded away Jason Tatum so they could dump less than $10 million in cap. And with the 7 people they signed with their newfound cap space, Costa Koufos was the only player left on the roster the following season, and ironically had a worse contract than any of the players originally traded in the salary dump. And if all of that isn't enough for you, Divac also let Bogdan Bogdanovic leave in the offseason for literally nothing in return. He drafted 2 centers in 2016, one of which was never even on any mock drafts in the 1st round. And lastly, what the hell is this Harrison Barnes extension? As for Luke Walton, to put it simply, the Kings have just been generally worse at the game of basketball since he was hired. The previous season before Luke Walton was hired, the Kings finished right outside the playoffs and honestly looked pretty decent, in main part due to Dave Joerger's fast-paced style of offense. And Dave Joerger himself found himself to be a favorite amongst Kings fans. So why did he get fired despite the fact he led the team to their best record in years? Being objective here, he did have a bit of a combative personality and bumped heads with a few people in the front office, one of which was Vlade Divac. Now, what happened, you may ask? Okay, I really need you to prepare yourself for this. Dave Joerger wanted the Kings to draft Luka Doncic and even kept insisting to Vlade Divac himself to do so, because Dave Joerger is clearly the only person in this entire situation with more than 3 brain cells. But then, as we went over, Divac passed on Luka, one of the reasons being that he wasn't sure if he could fit next to De'Aaron Fox, despite the fact that Dave Joerger, the literal coach, wanted him within his offense. So, understandably so, he got very upset over this whole situation, and then Vivek Ranadive opted to fire him and replaced him with Luke Walton. And fast forward to today, we're left with the 3 idiots and a roster that, well, I'm honestly not entirely sure what's going on here. It doesn't seem like they have a clear direction with how they want to move with what they have, and I don't think that's going to change until they get a fresh start. That means getting rid of the 3 idiots here and trading away Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield so they can focus around building around De'Aaron Fox and hope that there isn't another DeMarcus Cousins situation again in a few years. I know I've been critical this entire video, but if I could just say one genuinely nice thing here about Vivek Ranadive's basketball decisions and the Kings situation as a whole, Tyrese Halliburton is like really good. I mean really good. And that is all I've got for you guys today. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to enable notifications to stay up to date on future videos. Now, before we end off, I do have a couple of notes. First of all, we're not going to have a video on Thursday. I've been kind of getting caught up with work and stuff, so I'm trying to get ahead on the video uploads, but next week we should have our standard Tuesday and Thursday uploads. And second of all, if you saw at the beginning of this video, I'm changing the upload times from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So the new upload times are going to be Tuesday at 6 p.m. and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today, and I will see you on Thursday.